Horsham District time, and Peter Weir is our man on the tractor most weeks out on the farm near Rainbow. He joins us now. How are you there, Peter?
Yeah, going really well, thanks, Wayne. And yeah, it was a terrific effort from the Depart Rainbow boys last weekend down at Balmoral to come home with the 4 points.
Oh, I tell you what, it was a magnificent victory. But likewise, Weary, as we look forward, there is no games this weekend in this particular round because it's a bye across the whole league. So we'll have a look more in depth about how the clubs are going. Firstly, last week, Cowkey, 20 goals, 16, 136. Way too good for Horsham, 6-8-44. Probably expected, but are the Keys the best side in the league right now?
Oh, I think so. From what we've come up against, they definitely have been our best opponent. And I think just our midfielders, as we've touched on with Paddy Purcell and Simon Hobbs and Deke Roberts, are really having great starts to their season. And probably pleasingly for Cowkey this weekend, I see Benny Lawson and Jaden Coon. They're a couple of their key forwards finally hit the score sheet, because as we go deeper into the season, they're going to have to find different avenues than the midfielders. They can't expect those boys to do all the grunt in the middle and then finish off their work up front as well. So it's pleasing for Cowkey to have their forwards involved.
Yeah, I think so. And looking at those three best midfielders that you were talking about, all three of them got onto the scoreboard with a goal each, but it was good to see Jasper and Gunn add a couple, with Lawson and Coon, as you mentioned there, doing well on the other side. Crawford a couple, and Argyle, who is the former boy from Warwick Nabil, having a good season to start for the boys over at Horsham. What about this match of football and Nadimak? It was a battle of the cellar dwellers. Got up and won 16-8, 104 to Canaiva Lior, 14-9, 93. Gee, this is a big victory here for the Nadimak boys.
Yeah, this will hurt the Canaiva boys a little bit. I know they had a premiership reunion, and it was on their home deck, and after losing to Harrow and Cowkey, they might have let themselves get away with those two, but it really hurt beating Nadimak. And I see from the score sheet they did get off to that fast start. They were 40 points at quarter time, but yeah, unfortunately for them, the Nadimak boys just hung around all day and gradually got the game on their terms, and Koning's booted 6, and I don't think he would have felt too far away from home, because it's a big ground similar to the Nadimak ground, and they obviously played it well against the Canaiva boys, and the Canaiva boys are still winless at this stage in the season.
Yeah, it is a big surprise for Canaiva. Brian booted 5 and Collis 4. Councillor with a couple, and Kay Councillor was a very good player, along with Nat, Vivian and E Councillor playing some good football. Nadimak with Dwyer and Ridsale as a couple of their best players in the game. It was Narrajara Quantong 17-18, 120. Way too good for Eden Abapsley. 3 points. I mean, that is a stunning situation down there on the Apsley Sports Ground. Did we see that coming? I mean, did anybody see Eden Hope playing so poorly?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened here, Flowman, because as we know, Eden Hope started the season with a couple of wins, and no doubt they probably had a few players out, and Narrajara Quantong are a really good team, but yeah, it was definitely a dirty afternoon for Apsley on their home deck, and as a proud club, it's a result they wouldn't be very happy with, and they'll look to respond pretty hard, I'd imagine, in the next game.
Oh, I reckon they will. Butler, Wall, Rokebrand, Kelly, Keeley and T. Butler were the players that were named for Eden Apsley. They couldn't name any goal scorers, Big Weary, because no one kicked any. It was a tough outing for the boys from the Saints. And for the Swifts, it was not tough for them at home. They beat the boys from Pimpernaya 20 goals 16 to 2 goals 4, and the Swifts at North Park unveiled their new facility, if you don't mind, and well, they unveiled a pretty good footy side.
Yeah, they're going to be hard to beat this year still, especially down there. They're just quietly going about their work nicely in the background, and yeah, they're way too good for Pimpernaya. I see Nathan Clough and Daniel Baker are just trying their hardest, and they'll do that all year, but yeah, they weren't good enough to overcome Stall down there.
What about Rapanya? They have been the side that has surprised. 21-12, 138 to Taylor's Lake, 9-660. And Rupp just right up there with the Keys, I think, and maybe Narrajara Quantong as the sides to watch, and probably your boys. This was a fantastic win, and Musgrove got in and booted 6.
Yeah, he's providing a really good target up for up forward for the Rapagna boys is Jack, and Rapagna are obviously the big improvers from the last season that we played, and I look forward to seeing how they continue to play throughout the year. And I know they've got Kalki coming up in a couple of weeks, so that might be a game for everyone to look forward to see just how good they are.
Shaper booted 5 to add to Musgrove, and Turner 4. M. Wiedemann with a couple. That's a famous name. Turner, Shaper, Tyler in the better players. He's a real good player. Trotter also trotting around playing some good football these days. And finally, Japarrett Rainbow 15-12, 102 beat Harrow Balmoral 11-15, 81, and that was at Balmoral. You've picked up a win. Some sort of revenge, I think, for the JR Storm, because Harrow have been a bit of a nemesis in recent times.
Yeah, they have been to everyone, and especially on their home deck. Not many teams would have beaten them down there in the last decade, really. So to go down to Balmoral, where they've also got some new club rooms, and have a win was, a great result for our boys. And we started slow enough, and we sort of played into their hands early, but it showed a bit of maturity through the group to actually change up the way we played and get the momentum of the game, and then run out 20-point winners. So it ticked a lot of boxes that game for the JR boys.
Yeah, they might have thought that in that last quarter they were just going to romp home, but it wasn't to be. The Japarrett Rainbow Storm trailed by 2 points at three-quarter time, and as Weir said, that they came home. Big Peter Weir was the star. He won't say it on the radio, but I can say it. He booted 5 goals. Kirkwood got 4. Warren, the recruit from out of the Adelaide Norwood Football Club, booted 3. Xavier Oakley showing something with a couple. It was Big Weir who was the best on the ground. It was Coxie and Kirkwood and Maslin that helped out along the way. But great to see the big farmer from Rainbow putting up the big dukes and switching the match away from the Harrow Balmoral Kangaroos. Any comment on that, Big Weary?
No, I was more interested in the other end of the ground, to be honest. Flo Mann and Simon Clarkson had a great battle, and both players were in their team's best, and it just shows that, you can have a really good match-up like that all day, and both opponents can contribute to both their sides, and that was fascinating up the other end, and they shared the honours, but were both really important for each other's team.
Really well said. What about the reserve grade? Harrow Balmoral had your measure 18-14 to 5-2. Any, thoughts on how good their reserves are compared to yours? I know they've won a lot of premierships at that level in recent times.
Yeah, they just had too much depth, and it was one of those games where our boys didn't lack the effort, and they'd seemed to put in a lot of effort to try and get their scores, but just a couple of simple turnovers through the middle of the ground, and the Harrow boys were able to score really easily up the other end. So the result doesn't really reflect the effort from our boys, but just lacked a bit of polish. And the only one who did show a bit of polish probably was Jake Parry, who's predominantly been a senior footballer for the last 5 years. So he stood out in otherwise a pretty dirty day for our boys. Yeah,
Schultz, the plumber, got 3, and it wasn't a bad effort from young Matt Thomas, who tries hard. Cousins and the young effort lad playing well too. Fuller also named amongst it for the Stormers. And in the 17 age group, this one was a very interesting result because they kicked 13-9 to yours 6-3. But while you lost the game, I think in this age bracket that you played a really good third quarter, and it probably takes something out of this match.
Yeah, they do. It's just a lack of numbers, as we've touched on so many times, but there was only 7 true under-17 boys in this team, and, just through population, if, there was another 7 or 8 of them, we'd have a ripping under-17 team, and we do anyway with the limited numbers. So it's, the boys, to the boys' credit, they hold their heads high and they never give up all day, and there'll be some really good footballers come out of this under-17 team into the senior ranks in the years to come. Yeah,
I think you're right. You got Leach with a couple and young Cox with 2. Eckerman and O'Halloran scored, while M. Leach, P. O'Halloran, L. Cox, M. Badua, K. Everett and P. Oakley in the better players. A couple of young lads coming up from the underage there to play football well in the older age profile. Let's finally go to the littlest age, and this was the 14s, and it was a very hard effort from your lads. They got a goal, which was great, and didn't get mercied here, which was even better. 6-9-45 to 1-6-12. The only thing they did wrong, Weary, was...
I just think cross-country on the Friday night might have worn the boys out a little bit. They were a little bit flat in this game, Flo, man. And the one true highlight of the game, though, was Dustin Eckerman kicking a goal up forward and had a great celebration to follow. So that provided the highlight for the under-14 boys.
It was. I was referring to the 6 behinds against the 1 goal. That maybe there's 2 weeks of goal-kicking practice coming. Badua, Bone, B. Effort, J. Schulz, C. Stazanowski and M. Spokes, the better players. Weary, let's go to the senior competition now and just have a quick look at the Premiership ladder. And this is going to be a really interesting season because we know that there's a couple of absolute standouts in Narrabri, Quantong, Rapanya and Kalki. They've all played 4 games, all haven't been beaten yet. Of the 3, you've only obviously really come up against the Keys, but how do you see those 3 sides?
Yeah, they're all going to be top contenders, but I think the best thing about the competition this year, it's going to be so even. Any of the top 6 or 7 teams on their day could beat each other, and over the last few years, credit to Harrow, and then before that was the Southern Mallee Giants, so it's been a bit of a one-sided league for a number of years now, so I think everyone involved will be really keen to see how it pans out and what is shaping up like a lot more even competition.
Yeah, real surprise, I think, for everyone has been the Japarut Rainbow, and I say that sincerely. You guys are in 4th place at 3-1, and would you take that at this time of the season, Weary, given the draw that you've faced?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people at the start of the season said, I would be happy if we were 2-2, so to be 3-1 coming into the start of the season is something we'd definitely take. And I think the recruits from Geelong have added that bit of speed and spark, and with a few of us older blokes still getting around just okay, I think, we should shape up if everyone stays fit and healthy throughout the season. I think we should be right there at the end again, but like I said, there's going to be a number of teams in that position, so it'll be interesting as the season goes on.
All right, Big Weary, it's good to have you on board. It is a week off. It'd be lots of things happening around the farm and the house, and Mother's Day too, which is a great opportunity to celebrate with mums. So we look forward to your comments when we return next week and preview the next round of Horsham District Football League matches.
No worries.